This is how to build a one-person business with Claude AI in 30 days. This is not about building a software business, vibe coding, or cold emailing people to sell a service. This is about building a long-term business that can make you cash flow and build real wealth. The last thing you want to do when starting a business is to work your butt off to build something, make a bit of money, then have it all crumble because you pass out from exhaustion because the business is a nightmare. That's not what I want for you. Since 2012, I've been teaching people how to build long-term businesses that can run themselves. I've helped tens of thousands of people build companies. I've also built 2 of my own businesses, each with over $200 million in total sales. So the model you're going to learn here is about building a business that can generate great wealth, provide you cash flow to create freedom, and leverage the insane power of AI to do what used to take dozens of people, now you can do with just one person. So let's get into it. The first thing you have to decide is what type of business. Now, I've heard a lot of people on YouTube and other places, one big thing they talk about doing with AI is to build an agency or services business. Problem with that is that, sure, you can take this narrow skill set inside of doing something with AI and go out there and build an agency or services business, but there's a few problems. There's one, you have to deal with all these freaking people actually delivering the services. So you've got a client-based business, which to me is no fun whatsoever. I've tried it before. I shut all of that stuff down. Not how I want to spend my life. I much prefer to sell a product that I create one time and can just build repeatable processes to sell that to millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars. That to me is a much better model. Plus, with the agency and service model, then you have to go out there and be cold emailing, cold calling, cold reaching out to all of these people, or just build an entire personal brand, which can take years just to get people to know you even exist and to trust that you can even deliver what it is that you say you'll deliver. So to me, not the best model. Next model, software as a service. The problem with software as a service is it's great. You do stuff with AI now that can help you build these software tools way easier, but it's also very risky because it is so easy to create software businesses today. And it's not quite as easy as people make it seem to build an entire vibe-coded software business that has all the security protocols and logins and payment information and all that kind of stuff. It's not quite as easy as people make it seem. And I also am somewhat concerned in most software businesses, what does that look like in 5 years? The whole goal of building a business is not just to make some money, it's to build wealth. And to build wealth, you need a business that is still going to be thriving 5 to 10 years from now. Because otherwise, why would anybody ever buy it from you? If they're going to buy a business from you that you've built for, say, 2 or 3 years, and it's only going to exist for another 2 years, and then it's just going to completely die because some new technology takes it over, they're never going to want to buy that business from you. Or if they do, it's going to be at a very small multiple. So I prefer businesses that I'm highly confident are going to exist for a very long time. Last business model that I don't think you should pursue with AI is coaching and consulting. Because in my opinion, I do some coaching and consulting for high-level e-commerce people, 7- and 8-figure e-commerce people, but that's because I've been doing it for over a decade now. I think you need actual experience first before you do any sort of coaching and consulting. Otherwise, you're doing people a disservice. So I don't think that's a thing where you watch a couple of YouTube videos, do a few AI things, and now you're coaching and consulting. I think that's not the way to live your life. So all of these options backs into what I think is the best business model to build with AI. And it's kind of counterintuitive because it actually involves physical goods moving around the world. But you can automate basically everything with AI, which is absolutely insane, and build a one-person business. Plus, physical products have been sold for over 1,000 years. So you know this is not going anywhere in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, which means that you'll be able to make good cash flow and you'll be able to build an asset that builds you and your family real wealth. Grüns, the gummy vitamin brand, for example, was just acquired for $1 billion selling vitamins. That kind of business is what I'm going to show you how to build with AI. Comfort, which is a business just selling hoodies, has generated over $1 billion in sales by the time you're watching this video. These businesses are not based on drop shipping. They build their own brands and then they learn how to sell these things with highly efficient teams online. And now you can build a business. Your goal may not be to get to $1 billion, but you can for sure get to $1 million, maybe even $10 million with a one-person business. There's a guy I read about who built a one-person business, in case you're wondering if this is possible with physical products, built a one-person business selling and sending edible cakes, literally food that you eat, by automating everything else with AI. So that would be the hardest business to build as a one-person company because you're sending out these edible things that are constantly perishing, but 100% works. And there's a new way of doing this business with AI that takes away all the risk, meaning you can launch a consumer products brand with $0. And I'll talk about that more here in a few minutes. So the first thing we have to cover is what are the core business functions that we're trying to automate with AI so we can do this whole thing with one person. There's really four big functions of business. There's product, what it is that you sell, the product or service. There's marketing, how do you get customers? There's operations, how do you serve those customers? And there's finance, which is basically how do you keep track of all this stuff financially, pay your bills, pay your taxes. Those are the four functions we need to address with AI. So function number one, product. So the way to choose something to sell with Claude is to first have it interview you about your hobbies, your interests, and your purchasing history. Because if there's things you're interested in, that is the best source of stuff to sell because you're going to have an advantage over everyone else who's just trying to sell something to make money. I have built businesses and stuff that I actually would buy myself. I built an e-commerce training business because I was spending money on every sort of e-commerce training, so I knew what was good and what was not bad. I built a coffee company because I was drinking a bunch of coffee, specifically healthy coffee, because I was looking for that myself, and it was kind of niche at the time. And so these are products that I actually use myself, actually would buy myself. It makes building a business way more fun, and you have an advantage over everyone else. So have Claude interview you about hobbies, interests, and stuff you actually buy. And that's a great source of products you can sell. Then you have it compare that with an Amazon category list. So if you just Google Amazon bestsellers, you can also give that link to Claude or send a screenshot of the actual categories and have it compare the stuff that it interviewed you and found out that are things you could possibly sell because you know something about them. Compare that with the categories on Amazon, and it'll match those up and ask it to give you the top 3, and that's where you're going to really start digging into the next set of research. Then you just look at the top 100 for each of those top few categories, and then find a product there that you've actually bought. Ideally, a product that you've bought repeatedly. And specifically, you're looking for 2 filters. Number 1, you want a product that at least sells for at least $50, which is on the more expensive side of consumer products. Or you want a product that's subscription and or consumable. The reason for these things is because you're not going to sell on Amazon at first. You're using Amazon as a source of information about consumer products that you could sell. So you either want a product that has a high margin, high dollar profit margin, so that's why it sells for at least $50, or a product that sells repeatedly through subscription, which you can look at on Amazon because there'll be the little box on the side that says subscribe and save. So you want a product that sells for at least $50 or subscription because both of those have a high lifetime value, which is the total amount customers spend over time. When a product has a high lifetime value, that means you can actually run ads to acquire customers profitably. So you either want a high dollar profit margin, one-time purchase product, or a subscription product. So those are the filters you're looking for. Then for the products that you meet your criteria that we've gone through so far, you're just going to start looking at the reviews. And you can do this much easier with Claude because scroll down to any product you're considering selling, click on the reviews, sort by most recent as opposed to top, which can be somewhat gamed on Amazon. So sort by most recent reviews and then screenshot the first 20 to 30. You should have a mix of 1-star, 3-star, 5-star. Screenshot the first 20 to 30 and give those to Claude and say, hey, I want to sell this product, but I want to create a better version than what's already out there. How could I improve this product based on what people are actually saying that they like and don't like about this product? This is research that back in the day used to take hours and hours that you can do extremely quickly with this process. Then once you figure out what you can improve, you go to Alibaba.com, or you can just Google if you're going to sell a supplement or beauty product. But in most cases, you're going to go to Alibaba.com, find suppliers that are selling something similar, and then have Claude draft an outreach message to them that says, here's the product I'm looking for. Here are the improvements I'm trying to make. Can you do this? You can have Claude draft all those in a few minutes, and then also have it get you pricing and minimum order quantities so you can keep your risk as low as possible. That is the entire process of nearly automating or highly speeding up the product function of your business. So that moves us on to function number 2, which is marketing. You use Claude to come up with your brand name. Once you know the product you're going to sell, the angle that you're pursuing, have Claude ideate to come up with memorable brand names that are actually available. So you want to make sure there's no trademark and also make sure that the name is simple and easy to spell and you can buy some sort of domain that is closely related to that brand name. Then you have Claude write packaging copy. And so you just give it some examples. Is the best thing you could do is give it some examples of packaging that you like, either of related products or unrelated products that you just happen to really like their packaging. Have it come up with the packaging copy, and then that you'll basically send off to the supplier so that they can create that packaging for you. Then you use Claude to create Shopify landing pages. So you really only just need one. The rest of your store doesn't really matter. You could pretty much include any template you want in Shopify that's free, and then just have Claude create a really good single landing page. So I've done another video on this, on how to create landing pages with Shopify, but you can create pages in as little as 4 minutes as long as you're using Claude. So check out one of those videos on my channel right after this if you want to go deeper into that topic. Then you have Claude create any other designs you need, either using its new Claude design feature, or you can have it generate prompts for images that then you plug into Google's Nano Banana. So these can be product photos, these can be other elements of your packaging, other elements of your website. You can do all this 100% with AI. No photographers or any of that sort of stock photography or any of that sort of stuff needed. Just Claude by itself or Claude plus Nano Banana. Then, when it comes time to getting traffic, the other functioning of their marketing, so you'll have a landing page, you'll have a product, now you need to get traffic. I recommend just starting with Facebook or Meta advertising. So you'll want a series of static image ads, which you just have Claude generate prompts for static image ads. And then I would recommend taking those over into Nano Banana, and then it'll actually generate good static image ads for Facebook advertising. Then you use the same process to create video ads. So you basically have Claude generate you video clip prompts that then you go generate those using VO by Google or Seedance. Both of those video generation models, which you can use to create ads, you can access just directly, or you can access them all in one platform using something like Creator.ai. Now, you can actually end up launching this business without spending any money. The way to do it is just like people have done forever using Kickstarter, but you don't need Kickstarter because you can do a pre-order campaign on your own. So you have Claude design a landing page for Shopify, you have Claude generate AI ads, and then you also have Claude generate social posts. Then you drive all of the ads and social posts to a pre-order page, which you can design and have coded inside of Claude that allows people to sign up to buy your product before it's actually ready. And you can do this up to 6 months in advance. So you literally spend nothing on inventory. You just generate these sales either using social media posts or AI prompts and even reaching out to your network if necessary. You generate all these sales and all this cash up front, and then you go order inventory. I know a lot of smart people have done this exact same approach, either on their own or using Kickstarter. It's a great way if you want to be able to launch a physical products business with $0. Now, before we go on to function number 3, if you want to get a free AI funnel toolkit in which I break down exactly how to generate funnels, create ads, click the link below this video. So function number 3, operations. So with physical products, you need to get inventory from the supplier to a warehouse, and then from the warehouse to individual customers as they order. You can use Amazon's warehousing system, which is called FBA, which you can actually connect directly to a Shopify store. So that's a perfectly good option. Or you can use another third-party logistics company, also called a 3PL, connected to your Shopify store. Example of this is ShipBob. And so they'll connect to your Shopify store so that as customer orders, they get a notification, they send that inventory out to customers, and the whole system is 100% automated, and you never have to touch any inventory. Then, whenever it comes time to reorder, you can have Claude draft reorder messages to your suppliers, so you reorder inventory based on how much you need. And then as far as handling customer service, you can either use an app such as Superhuman to draft email replies to customers. It'll draft them automatically, just have them come into a Gmail account you or somebody else manages. Or you can get a little more advanced and use something like Gorgeous, which is a plugin for Shopify, for autonomous ticket resolution. Literally, tickets you don't touch at all, so customer service is happening automatically. As long as you have the right shipping setup, you're sending tracking numbers out to people, your customer service will be very minimal, especially if you're using something like Gorgeous for autonomous ticket resolution. Lastly, function number 4, finance. If you're keeping your business simple, finance is pretty easy. If all you sell on is Shopify plus Amazon plus one bank account and then have just one credit card, you can easily outsource this. At this point, I wouldn't even necessarily worry about using AI for this. I would just pay one of the online bookkeeping services that specializes in e-commerce, like $200 a month. You don't need any employees. You can cancel it anytime you want. It's very low cost. And so you can do all of that using one of those low-cost services. However, you could probably use AI. I know some people are using it for some elements of bookkeeping and financial management, and it can definitely help you with financial reporting so you understand what's going on in your business. And it can likely also help you set up your systems and build your processes. But in reality, just pay the person $200 a month whenever you get to that point, which you probably don't even need for the first 6 months of operating. And that's your entire finance function. Then how do you scale the business? So you scale the business not by adding more products, not by adding more people, not by adding more agencies. You scale it by generating more marketing assets with AI. So either ads with AI or entire social posts. There have been people that have built multi-million follower social media accounts that are driving real sales for brands that are 100% AI generated. So I prefer ads, but you can also do this with organic social media content. And then so you're generating more assets, more ads, possibly more landing pages for your business to scale. Then you're also continually improving your product based on customer feedback. So all you do is use an app such as judge.me, which is what we use for reviews in my e-commerce business. Then you have AI analyze those reviews, and each time you reorder, improve something with your product. So your marketing is going to keep getting better, your products are going to keep getting better, and that's how you keep scaling. You don't have to add more products, you don't have to add more people, you don't have to add more anything. Just make the product better, make the marketing better, and your business will keep scaling. The motto here is to do less, but do it better. If you want more information on how to start and scale a business with AI, subscribe to my channel and then also get the free AI toolkit below.